Hello there, I hope you're well. I'm Jackie and I'm here today to show you a sea glass mosaic sailboat that I'm going to be making on this pane of this 9-pane antique window. So I'm kind of wound up today because I'm going to be taking an online paint class and I'm going to learn how to paint lupins. And I'm not the best painter in the world, but I'm trying to learn new things. So especially during this pandemic, I've been trying to take some online paint classes. And I've been taking paint classes for the last couple of years, trying to learn a few new things, because when you're kind of creative and you do art, it's really good to try new things. So if you've never tried sea glass mosaics before, maybe as a creative person you can try something different and try a sea glass mosaic. So hopefully this will inspire you. So my lesson for the day today is that sometimes when you're doing a creative project or doing some art, you don't need to have a pattern or a plan. Just go for it and do what inspires you. So I'm going on a real sailboat theme here in this 9-pane window. In each pane I plan to do a different sailboat or sailboat scene, and I'm trying to explore different ideas and different approaches. So I have my tray of inspiration here. Every once in a while I'll find pieces of sea glass or pottery or shells that either make me think of the sail of a sailboat or the hull of a sailboat. Like, look at that shell. It's like a piece of a clamshell that I know looks like a really cool hull. So I use this as inspiration for trying to figure out my sailboat scenes. So my scene today has been inspired by these two pieces of white sea glass. I'll try and show them really close here. They're both pieces that have ridges on them, and they broke in nature in the form of triangles, and they look like sails. So I'm going to do a sailboat scene in this pane of glass right here with those two pieces as my focal point. And I picked out a couple of brown pieces for the hulls that I'm going to use. So this pane of glass is 7 inches by 7 inches, and my goal for this particular sailboat scene is to have the sailboats riding a wave. So what I'm going to do is play around with my green sea glass first to create the first bit of the wave, and then I'll play around. I'm just going to play around with my sea glass, so I'm not creating a pattern or anything ahead of time, just to see how this works. I don't usually do this. I usually have a bit of a pattern that I'm following, and I've got a much more set plan. But other than knowing in my mind that I want these sails to ride the wave, I don't have a plan. So I could just play around with my sea glass for a while until I get the right effect. So, lupins. I'm really excited to learn how to paint lupins today. This is the time of year when the lupins are starting to come alive, and the lupins in PEI are really quite spectacular. And because of pandemic restrictions, I can't get to PEI this year. Well, I can't get there now. The rules might change and I might be able to get there before the summer's out. But right now I can't go. And I'm missing PEI quite a bit. So I'm thinking that painting lupins will really help me with my homesickness for the island. There's something about being a maritimer. It seems like when you come from the Maritimes, you grow up here and you live here, you really get to be, it gets in your blood, and you just really want to be a maritimer and spend your time, especially during the summertime, as much as possible, around family and around the beach. And so I'm missing it a little bit this year. I think we're all missing lots of things because of the pandemic. And it's important to do things that help us deal with our homesickness and deal with all the stress of things. So that's where I find doing art really helps. And I'm hoping that doing this lupin painting today will help as well. So you can see what can happen here when you just go with the flow and you let the shape of the sea glass determine the curve of the waves. And I find in doing something like this, it's fairly freeing, and I have fun just searching around in my sea glass to see what shapes of sea glass are going to fit together to create these really flowing lines. And here's the lupin painting that I did. This is not exactly an accurate depiction of lupins, because when I look back on it now, I can see that I made the blossoms a little bit too small and a little bit too many. But I still had fun doing it, and it's bright and it's cheery and it reminds me of the lupins in Prince Edward Island. So I think this is a really good example of how we can just approach our art with fun and open-mindedness, and we don't have to create a masterpiece. So I really hope that you have fun if you try something new in creating a sea glass mosaic. So thanks very much for joining me today, and I will see you next time for part 4 in my Sailboat Sea Glass Mosaic series, when I'll be challenged to come up with something totally different again and teach you another lesson of the day. So I really hope you get out to the beach and find some sea glass. Take care, everyone.